Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. Thank you for visiting my channel. In today's video, I will share my thoughts on Ahmed Deedat answering an important question regarding the suffering of black people. Bismillah.
Why we hear that, and the Bible tells us that God created a man, and so we have a different nation here, population here. So now, why did God allow blacks to be suffer?
Yes. I will explain that. You see, the creation is a creation of God. But mankind, he creates his own standards of judging. Like, for example, we are told by certain groups of churches that the black people of the earth are the children of Ham. You see, Noah, you heard the name Noah, after the flood. In the Genesis chapter 9 you read, Noah, after the flood, him and his three sons, Sam, Ham and Japheth, they started growing grapes. And from the fruit of the vine, they fermented the wine. And Noah drank too much. And he was lying naked. Ham saw his father's nakedness. Sprawled out on the ground naked. And it was a big joke for him. So he laughed. The other two sons, they felt remorse, ashamed of the father's condition. So they took a piece of cloth and they walked backwards and they covered up the father. But when he came into his senses, he began to curse. And you remember the curse? He said, "Cursed be Canaan, for a servant of servant thou shalt be unto thy brother."
There are two crucial points that stood out to me here. The first being how Islam honors the prophets, peace be upon them, while Christianity often slanders them. It doesn't make sense that a noble and inspiring leader, chosen by God, would engage in behaviors like drunkenness and public nudity. Islam guides us to follow individuals of good character. Islam guides us to follow individuals of good character.
Usually when we in the diaspora think about the slave trade, we tend to think about the Atlantic slave trade. But today, I wanted to bring our attention to an event that also disrupted African history. Ironically, the Muslim Caliph Omar, after allowing his general to leave to conquer Egypt, was having second thoughts, because he thought they surely couldn't conquer Egypt with a measly 4,000 men. So he wrote a letter to General Amir. "If you receive this letter when you have already crossed into Egypt, then you may proceed. Allah will help you, and I will also send reinforcements as may be needed." Arabs would then go on to conquer the Byzantium territories of Tunisia and western Libya, an area the Arabs themselves called Afriqiya. They're based in North Africa. Early Arab rulers such as Aqba bin Nafi would impose a tribute of 360 slaves on whatever region he controlled. This tradition of course continued to develop and rapidly expanded into a much larger demand. To keep up with this demand, slaves had to be taken from further south, places like Mali, Senegal, Chad, and even northern Nigeria. After slavery was firmly established and very profitable, it became a sort of free-for-all for the Arab Berber Muslims. It goes to show the lengths that Arabs would go to profit from the booming slave trade in North Africa. The Arab slave trade was absolutely devastating to African people. It was a trauma akin to the Atlantic slave trade. I'm not going to play Oppression Olympics between the Atlantic slave trade and the Arab slave trade, but I'll simply say this. The Arab slave trade was at least 700 years before the Atlantic slave trade, was no less dehumanizing or horrific, and on top of that, it lasted much longer.
All the praises go to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Ruach HaKodesh, and double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of Great Millstone, honors as well to you brethren, fellow believers of this faith, even if you sisters, a shalom to the elect. I'm going to try to say a lot in this video, go through this lesson in a short amount of time, if the spirit permits. But I came across this video, looks like a white woman, who exposing Christianity through the religion of Islam, which we went into Islam, the Roman Catholic origins, and so forth. But this woman was speaking of having good character. Now, and it's ironic because you have this particular woman sitting here and with the Arabs, right? And we do understand that a lot of the heinous behavior that was done to us, right, was taught to the people who enslaved us and carried on a lot of that behavior, right? So the Arabs had their hand in the slave trade. You had the sub-Saharan slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade. You had several forms of trades. But these Arabs always tend to have their hands involved in a lot of these trades of big business, money. But they were not good to the so-called blacks, Native Americans, and even other so-called Africans, right? They were a heinous group of people in the name of Allah, right? That's what it was, in the name of Allah. This is what they did. Now, ultimately, Allah, or we say Yahweh, is the one that set all that up, right? So, going into the story of Noah, right? Those things are all set up for a reason, right? As the Israelites were naked and now are being covered, okay? So they don't understand why these things happen in the scriptures, why these things happen in the Bible to give Canaan his curse, right? But then, according to the Bible, there was different covenants, different curses, right? And Edom was one that got his curse. The covenant was given to Jacob, right? So let's go into, and then we're going to go into a little bit of it. Genesis 9:20. It says, and Noah began to be a husbandman, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine and was drunken. And he was uncovered with his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw that nakedness of his father and told his brethren without. This also proves that when you're dealing with the nation of Ham in itself, they're a heathen nation. They don't have the promise, right? This is why they have the behaviors that they have, putting their faces up cows' behinds, eating mud snakes, and all those rituals, right? Those are all curses, man, right? That's who they are. And Shem and Japheth took the garment and laid it upon both their shoulders. So the Lord will do heinous things or sensitive things through situations just to curse someone and bless someone, right? And went backward and covered the nakedness of their father, right? And Noah awoke from his wine, being drunk. So this person said, and these religious Arab Islamic gurus, they'll say, well, why did God take this noble man, right, and make him drunkard and naked? Well, the same reason why he did Solomon, who worshipped the goddess of Ashtoreth, the Moabite god. The same way he did Judas, and made him go off. The same reason why he made King Saul, go off. Isaiah 45:7 says, I create the light and I create evil. I create good and evil. So there's a balance that the Most High does. Who are you? Who are we? So why did he create these Arabs to take so-called black people, which they are themselves, but this nation, these nations of so-called different nations of black people, and whip them, rape them, and keep them as concubines, which that's part of spoil. But why did the Lord allow them to do that? The same reason why he told Moses and the Midianites, to go into Midian and do what he did there. Let's go to Romans 9. And then we're going to read a little bit of their doctrine and see what's up with this. Romans 9 and 12. It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. So wait a minute. Obviously, due to slave trade that we were taken and put into slavery, there had to be a reason why this happened to us. But now we see that those people in the land have taken that land, and now they're mad and is upset with them. So now the Arabs are just mad with every damn body. But guess what happened? You reap what you sow, right? Verse 15, for he saith to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. And that's the lie that Christianity has spewed in the Bible, that God is all loving, doesn't matter, he does everything, well, she does everything perfect in order because that's what he wants. Even disorder is order to the Most High, right? But the mindset of the way the Bible is presented to us, the way the Most High is presented to us, is all complete lies. That's not how it is. You know, the Lord, there's a man that sacrificed Jephthah, sacrificed his own daughter to the Lord as an oath, right? But Christianity is wrong. But all this stuff the Muslims doing, Islam is doing, let's go into their book. Let's go there real quick. And, you know, let's see what it says in the Quran. This is Surah and in Sayat 34, 4th chapter, verse 34. 4 verse 34. Men are the protectors and maintainers of women, because Allah has made one of them excel over the other. Well, we all know this is true. And because they spend out their possessions to support them. Thus, righteous women are obedient and guard the rights of a man in their absence under Allah's protection. Right? Now, of course, a lot of this is true, right? But they're painting an image that Christianity, right, is all loving, all smooth, and but yet they're trying to attack certain things that, well, they're not saying Christianity is loving. They're attacking all the things of Christianity that is rough, right? Well, we're not plantation Christians, okay? So we say the hard things of the Bible, but they're still questioning, why is this Bible saying these things? Well, let's move on. Thus, righteous women are obedient and guard the rights of men in their absence under Allah's protection. As for women who you fear rebellion, admonish them and remain apart from them in beds, meaning don't give them sex. If they're not honorable, you know, strain them from sex, right? Refrain them from sex. It goes on to say, and beat them, right? Then if they obey you, you do not seek ways to harm them. Allah is exalted great. So now they're questioning the morals and ethics of the Bible, right? And according to this society, this white woman, whoever she is, who believes in the Quran, so now she's saying if she becomes disobedient, her husband is allowed to beat her and don't give her sex. Let's get another one. There's more. There's a whole bunch of them. I'm just going to read this. This is from the Hadith Ayash, right? It's similar to Hebrew, right? May Allah be pleased with her. Mentions that when the garment of the messenger of Allah would become strained with semen, right? If it were wet, she would wash it with water. Why are they bringing this up, man? And this is because supposedly all of his wives. So I don't know if they're cleaning themselves up, or I don't know. When they're in that mindset of slavery and taking booty, that's what they call it. Maybe it's all kinds of things happening. I don't know. She would wash it with water and would go out to pray. What happened about the cleansing process? Wearing it while the water had not dried. What? Read that again. She would, it says, if it becomes, his garments become stained with semen, if it were wet, she would wash it with water and would go out to pray wearing it while the water had not dried. If the semen were dry, she would rub it well off his garment and he would pray while wearing it. I don't know. There's another one in here saying man's semen is made from his ribs and his backbone. I can't make this stuff. It's so much. I'm just going to go further. That's enough of that. Let's go to Romans 3:23. Let's go talk about Noah again. All right, Romans 3:23. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of Yahweh. Talking about the Israelites. Right? So if it's God's will for Noah to be drunken with no clothes on, right? Let's see what Yahweh Shah said. I'm just going to read the scriptures, right? Let's see what Yahweh Shah said. Matthew 19:17. This is why the Lord shows himself to be the perfect, right? Now we could be perfect in generations, which means completion. And it says, and he said unto him, why thou callest me good? Okay? There is none good but one, and that is Yahweh. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments. This is the problem with Islam doesn't do. They have their own forms of commandments, of so-called morals, but they're nothing more than a spinoff of the Roman Catholic Church. Okay? And they have no prophecies. There's nothing telling us. All they try to do is tell you how to be obedient. Now, meanwhile, the descendants of those Arabs, so to speak, our people are standing up asking questions, well, why is this happening to black people? Simple. Go to Deuteronomy 28:48, Deuteronomy 28:15, starting with that. Right? Because thou haven't obeyed the voice of the Lord our power. Therefore these curses shall come upon us. Deuteronomy 28:68. And thou shalt be brought into Egypt again with ships. And this man in the narrator, he was going into that, how they went up into Egypt. You know, and they worked with other nations to enslave the Israelites, man. This is crazy. That for whatever reason, they'll lump all black people together, but they are black their damn selves, so to speak. This is a nationality thing. And you did this to the children of Israel. Right? Let's go to Ecclesiastes 3:15. That which has been is now, and that which is to be has already been. And Yahweh requireth that which is past. So the Lord requireth that which is past. Let's go to 1 Samuel 2:2. There is none holy as the Lord. So when Noah did what he did, right? It was a representation, right? You had Shem, you had Ham, and it's crazy how Christianity, white Christianity, they're actually talking about, with the Christian nationalists, the Protestants, evangelicals, or whoever else, the Puritans, how they all came up with this story about the curse of Ham in Canaan and made us them, when the people who stole the identity helped afflict and push this doctrine on the Christian world, because their religion was in control of religion. These elites, they're in control of the religion. So when you put that out there, it's whatever they put out there can last generations, as long as the Lord allow it. So then all the Christians believe And even so-called black Christians today believe we're the cursed of Ham and Canaan. Like nobody else got cursed in the world. Just Ham and Canaan. Or let me just say just Canaan. But nobody else. Out of all the slaveries in the world. So what curse are you speaking of? Right? Because the blessings went to the Israelites. And he said, if you don't follow the blessings, I will curse you. So you had many curses. And to prove who the cursed people are today would be the cursed people of the Bible. And if we weren't Israelites, the Spirit wouldn't be on us to speak about being Israelites, would it? How many nations you knew jumped up and woke up, claimed that they were the Israelites, fit the prophecy, right? Fit it. And it actually came true. You got people in Egypt quoting Isaiah 19, blessed be my people Egypt. They don't understand the scripture. It was in the original word was blessed be my people in Egypt or of Egypt. They just took that one universalized word out. How many people doing that, man? Anyway, no one is holy like the Lord, right? For there is none beside thee, neither is there any rock like our power. Right? Let's go to Isaiah 45. I'll go to this real quick. There's a whole lot of, quite a few scriptures that we can pull going into this. I can go to Joel, the 3rd chapter, but I think I'll just go here. It says, let me see where we at. Isaiah 45:14. Thus saith the Lord, the labor of Egypt and merchandise of Ethiopia and the Sabians, men of stature, shall come over unto thee, and they shall be thine. They shall come after thee in chains. They shall come over, and they shall fall down unto thee. They shall make supplication unto thee, saying, surely God, the power, is in thee, and there is none else. There is no power. Right? That's all I have on that. Shalom.